What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some Marie Fredriksson for the first time in a while. And yes, we're going to listen to the last tune included as an extra or bonus in the folder for her 7th Wave album. Thank you again to Jeebus. And I believe after that we'll be on to the Efterstormen, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I do remember that I've reacted to that title track, and in fact I looked at the Discogs master release for the next album, and it looks like I've reacted to the first couple proper tracks, as well as there's like an intro. So either way, the point is I'll make sure that I'm not repeating any of the tunes that I reacted to on the compilation that Eric sent me a while back. Thank you to all the folks involved in providing music from Marie and of course other artists in the deep dives I'm going through. But the point is I will be alert and I will make sure I'm not doing a double reaction. In any case, the last track that's included as a bonus in the 7th Wave album, apparently, according to Google Translate, translates to "There's a lot you don't know about," which is an interesting thing to say to another person, assuming that translation is more or less correct, because you're indicating that there's some dynamic, some information that they haven't been privy to, but by revealing that, you're perhaps bringing things to the surface or putting it on the table, so to speak. And I don't know, I suppose there could be different emotional frames through which you might say that, but it sounds confrontational. When I read the translated title, which again, I'm not sure is perfectly accurate, but it sounded like something where, you know what, there's a lot you don't know about. If someone were to confront you about a piece of information they discovered, or if you were, in a sense, getting revenge by revealing things which you had been keeping private or holding back before because of something the other person has done. So again, it sounds like there's some friction or indeed overt conflict, but of course I don't know that for sure, and maybe the title isn't translated perfectly anyway, and obviously if the song is in Swedish I won't be able to figure it out during this reaction, but I look forward to hearing people comment. Let's give it a listen. This is Marie Fredriksson with, I believe, a non-album track that translates to "There's a Lot You Don't Know About." Bit of reggae vibe.
Jag vet hur du ser på mig.
love that little flare. Sonically, that's a lot of fun. It really does have that synth pop meets reggae feel in a different way than perhaps countryman Ace of Base would make famous a few years later, but it definitely has that keyboard rhythm of a lot of reggae. The percussion has that, cycling groove to it. I will say, I love the layered Marie vocals. There's like the lead one in the foreground, which has a bit of echo to it. It sounds a bit like cavernous. And then the backing vocal sounded like it was a bit filtered or deliberately subdued with effects, meaning not that she was singing in a subdued way. It was, very expressive, even like a big type of delivery, but it was sort of placed in the background. But I like when they were simultaneous. The polyphonic Marie vocals was very enjoyable. And there was that phrase which kept coming around. It almost like she was saying shed a tear. So I went like, wait, is that actually English? Even though the rest of it sounds like in Swedish. But I'm assuming it's just a phrase in Swedish that phonetically sounds like shed a tear. So I'm guessing it's not actually English. Though to be fair, I have heard a number of songs from some different places around the world where English phrases are interjected into a song that is otherwise in a different language. Japanese songs are like quite famous for that. So yeah, ultimately it's not impossible, but I'm guessing that's not the case. Either way, I was thinking when I was listening that, there's a lot you don't know about. It might not be of or related to conflict or a vengeful attitude. It could be like, oh, you've never seen this? Well, I bet you there's a lot you don't know about, and I could show it to you. So it feels like, again, the emotion of the expression, assuming the translation is reasonably accurate, it could be across the map, even if when I first looked at the translation, my thought was a more negative or conflict-oriented type of reading of it. Nevertheless, as I said, I enjoy the reggae feel. There was a moment where it really flourished and sort of went into a different atmosphere. There was that like sliding synth flourish, which then gave way to these like deep, like church organ style chords, and they were very prominent for the next few moments, and then it switched back into that reggae styling. So yeah, I enjoyed that interlude, and I wonder emotionally or lyrically if there was a countervailing sentiment in that moment, or whether it was just a musical flourish and second side to the tune, and it's not so much that the attitude or the lyrics had a notable shift. But I definitely enjoyed the track overall, and like I said, once again, thank you to Jeebus for providing this material, and to most folks here who I think are following the Roxette journey as well. This deep dive had actually not come back around as recently as I thought. I suddenly was like, wait a minute, how long has it been? I think it had been slightly over a month, so I do apologize. But nevertheless, it's back on my radar now, and as I said, we'll get to the next album, which I think is 87, and I'll make sure that I'm not repeating any tunes I've already reacted to. Though I do remember when I mistakenly did that, because the titles being in Swedish doesn't help in that regard. If it's a song title in English where my brain thought a lot about the song title, it's like, okay, like it's gonna stick a little bit. Not to say that I've never accidentally repeated a tune that I forgot I reacted to, but the lyrics, or rather the titles being in Swedish, makes that a little more dangerously possible. But because I have that in my front brain now, I'll try to make sure I don't do that. And ultimately, I do believe the intro for the next album is not something I've reacted to, but I did see on Discogs that it's quite short. It's like a minute long or something, so perhaps I'll do that and the first track from the album that I haven't done a reaction to previously. In any case, we'll get there soon. I am going to do Roxette in the same batch, so if you're following that journey, look forward to that, and I will see you next time. Peace.